We got to take a look at your newspapers and what's making the headlines there this week. Let's start off with the Sunday Times. Now, they're running a very interesting front cover on the Sunday Times on a very interesting story pertaining to a school in Mdantsane, rather, I almost said Mlazi, in Mdantsane in the Eastern Cape in East London. The principal of the school has spent over R1 million of the school. This is a no-fee paying school, by the way, and it's grant money allocated to it. The principal has, over a period of 16 months, spent almost R1 million of the school meals money, their learning material and maintenance financial on booze, fancy restaurants and other luxuries. He has been suspended. The name of the principal there is Mihlali Makalima from Ulwazi High School in Mdantsane. Now, the Sunday Times had obtained the financial statements, and that is to say the bank records in particular, of the school. And the principal had used the card, the corporate card of the school, to swipe at fancy restaurants and even restaurants and takeout places like Hungry Lion, as well as KFC on several occasions, splurging quite hard on himself over there. Another interesting story in the Sunday Times, and as you can see it on the margins there towards the top right corner of that visual, is the SIU report in Gauteng provincial government, in Gauteng Health in particular, where the SIU report found that the head of Gauteng Health, Lisiba Malotana, benefited R1.6 million in questionable and suspicious cash deposits that was made to his account, and monies coming from payments that were linked to the Tembisa hospital looting. About R1.8 billion in particular has been tracked thus far by the SIU. He was suspended last week by Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lisufi. Important story to follow and get details on. Let's take a look at the Sunday World. Now, the Sunday World leads with another interesting story there of a Democratic Alliance councillor who alleges that she had been used by Helen Ziller, Mike Waters, as well as Natasha Matsone to launch a case against another DA member, Philip Delanga, to purge him from the party. Now, it is framed that in the Sunday World that Philip Delanga had been fighting racism inside the party and had drawn the ire of Mike Waters, Natasha Matsone and Helen Ziller. Ilaria de Siena is the name of the councillor in question there. Very interesting story to track there as well. Now, the Sunday World leads with that big story on SA drug lords' names being exposed, which is the big front cover there. Now, over there, the story is around Senzo Mchunu, the suspended Minister of Police, who submitted a confidential report to Parliament's ad hoc committee of the names of the drug lords that have been operating predominantly in Gauteng and various other provinces such as the Free State and the Northwest. And a number of names have been brought to the fore there. Stanley Egbo, Michael Ifebuche, Sunny Nwobodo. Now, a number of these drug lords, not all of them, but a number of them are Nigerian nationals who are being tracked over there. And then, big story in the business end of the Sunday World is around Canal Plus. Canal Plus, which is now the parent company that recently bought MultiChoice. Now, Canal Plus, the leadership there, the executive leadership of the organization, had asked MultiChoice suppliers across the board to cut their invoices by 20% or risk not getting paid. That's a big story given the sheer amount of suppliers that have to be paid and how many of them are now considering to take legal action against the organization, given that they're being asked to cut their invoices without really being consulted on these stories over there. Of course, big story there on the sports end of it. Hugo Bruce, the coach of Bafana Bafana, saying that SA players booze their careers away, which has been a story that has become far too familiar in the South African context. And I think that's an important one to follow as well. The Sunday World also carries an important story there on the margins around an Action SA councillor who is dragging the party to court for having been removed from the party in what they describe as a process followed, copied and pasted by the by the leadership of the party from the EFF. And of course, that seems to be one that's going to drag out in the course for quite a while. And of course, that Mkwanazi lawsuit where Paul O'Sullivan has countersued him for 10 million rand is also being covered there in the Sunday World. Let's take a look at the Sunday Tribune. And it leads there with security capture scandal rocks the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Big story there around some of the security tenders that have been issued by the organization University of KwaZulu-Natal, which have become the subject to an investigation. Another big story there also being covered by the Sunday Tribune is that criminals' claims won't stop Mcunu's ambitions, and that is around the alleged claim of him seeking to become the president or deputy president of the ANC. And Kawekazi Mazalane, who has been crowned Miss South Africa, graces the front page of the Sunday Tribune. We had the privilege last week, you would recall, here on the program The Week Ahead, to interview Kawekazi in a program that she had participated in organized by the Miss South Africa organization. Well, last night she had been crowned the Miss South Africa. A lot of controversy around whether or not she will be able to participate in the Miss Universe beauty pageant, which was won by Zosbini a few years ago, of course, claiming the title as the most beautiful woman in the world. Well, that's it for your Sunday papers today.